And we're singing. We're singing. Dun, 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 dun. Time to talk. Beauty and the Bitch.
Mick.
What?
Listen,
What?
you're a friend.
Yeah.
You're a true friend.
That's factual.
I got a proposition just for you.
Okay.
I want to get you in on the ground floor.
Okay.
Oh, you is so important. I want you to help me produce this.
Am I a VIF? Very important friend?
Oh, you're a VIE, a very important everybody.
Oh, whoa!
Everyone
That's
respects
better.
you. You is important. You get autonomy.
Oh.
You run the shots. You tell the little people what's what. What's
That's true.
good.
I do that. Yeah.
All I'm gonna need is you help me get like $5 million
Okay, doable.
to start with, and then
Okay.
we're just gonna
to
take
start.
all that
Okay.
money, right?
Okay.
All that money.
Sure.
We're just gonna put it into Instagram.
Okay.
Just all of it, like $5 million directly.
Into Instagram.
Yeah, and then we're just going to bypass that investment. That investment's gone because it's
Okay.
earned media, you know what I'm saying? And then we're going to move on. And then, by
well,
the way,
okay,
we got to
well.
talk to Ja Rule. You remember him?
Nope.
He was really good in Fast and the Furious 1.
Oh,
Excellent
okay.
casting choice.
Okay,
And you might remember his first days. You know, what's my motherfucking name? Ja Rule. It's Ja Rule. That's
I
a
don't
song.
know. Did he let the dogs out?
No.
See, that's I don't know. I have no idea. I'm so sorry.
But he's probably
I'm
friends with
still
those
interested in investing and throwing away my $5 million, though. I am
Also,
still interested.
we're going to take a word. Go
Okay.
with me.
Okay.
Eyes, just as good as wise. Fire. F-Y-R-E. Festival! Give me your money.
Well, okay.
Give me your money and sign this paper.
Okay. Now, first of all, I will give you my money.
Thank you.
Okay, because I'm gullible. You're my friend. Second, you said Fyre? F-Y-R-E?
That's right.
Now, see, I've heard that name before. And I have to tell you, I'm getting less and less excited about this venture possibility because
Okay.
I heard that Fyre Fest was the biggest nightmare dumpster fire, trash bag, heap of junk, semen collecting mess of like the last decade. Fyre Fest.
Okay.
That's what we're talking about, right? Are you trying to get me on Fyre Fest 2018?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
Yes.
This is a problem for me. Is Blink 182 performing?
You know they couldn't make it. Oh, you know you in trouble when Blink is like, we
Girl,
good.
yeah,
We
yeah.
good.
Welcome back to another episode of Beauty and the Bitch. I'm Mick.
And I'm Morgan, and we're here today to talk about the dumpster fire that is fire.
Fyre Fest.
Yes.
2017.
Yeah.
Correct? Yes.
First and last edition. It's an original. You cannot copy it. It cannot be repeated because it went so well. So well.
Well, and that's true. And you can never really recapture the magic of getting out of a crowded plane that was supposed to be a private jet and walking with all these fucking patchouli-smelling 20-something-year-old hipsters.
Descriptive.
Thank you. And realizing that, in fact, all those hurricane tents set up in this, like, desolate and, like, unbuilt upon part of the island are, in fact, your luxury condos that you paid $12,000 for.
Right,
Like
right.
a fucking idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So, what's really fascinating about Fyre Festival is that we are, like, we're, like, just on the cusp of the right people for this demographic. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, music festivals have become, like, this very interesting millennial generation sort of like rite of passage that is very much ingrained in some millennials, and then for other millennials it's just like not really our thing, and we both fall into that category.
Have you ever been to a music festival?
Well, I went to ACL.
ACL.
Which is Austin City Limits. It's like our local music festival, and it's really popular. People come from all around the world, but it's not the level of like a Coachella or like a Burning Man, which is not a music festival per se, but is like one of those kind of festivals. And it's definitely not the level of what they had disclosed that Fyre Festival was going to be, right?
God.
Like secluded island nonsense.
So I assume everyone listening has heard of Fyre Festival because it's so hot right now. In fact, there are dueling documentaries.
Dueling.
Yes. On Hulu and Netflix right now.
Our two favorite babies. It's
Absolutely.
like, which parent do you like more? In my case, it's my father.
In my case, it's my mother.
No,
And that's why I watch the Netflix and you watch the Hulu.
And honestly, match made in heaven.
Hey, y'all! We don't have parents. Well, we have a parent. Together we have parents.
Collectively, if we've been brother and sister, we could have bypassed a lot of heartbreak
Though
on my part.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Our 3.5-year high school beard relationship would have been even more upsetting had you been my sister.
I had already planned our lavender marriage.
Oh, my goodness.
We were both going to wear lavender.
Okay, so we have a lot to say about Fyre Fest. Morgie, I didn't ask you about this ahead of time. This may be against your plans. So if you're like, no, I don't want to do that.
I have no plans. I drank a bottle of wine.
No, not by yourself. And there's still some left.
Okay, we're doing great. Oh my God, we're doing so good.
And we've only drank half a bottle of wine. So we had a quarter each. I feel
How many
fully
cookies
tipsy.
did I eat?
You ate, I think the better question, how
Round
many
down.
cookies did you not eat? That's
Listen.
a better question. Worldwide, there are 5 cookies left in this container worldwide.
Okay,
So-
well, the rest of them, undisclosed amount, went into my mouth.
And you know what? I can't judge you for that.
Thank you.
You remember when I gave myself an ulcer by eating a whole bag of corn chips with a whole giant bottle of Cholula in one sitting?
I don't specifically, but what comes to mind is how many Beanitos you used to eat.
Oh, I still
Your
do that
boy
shit.
can put Beanitos
Yes,
away.
I can eat a bag like that. I eat that for dinner.
That's health
Yeah.
food,
I mean,
basically.
it's just with sodium and
Fiber.
beans. Yeah.
It's just straight fiber chips.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with that. So why you all up in my case, Morgan?
Oh, my Girl Scout cookies are also made of spinach, so it's fine.
I think that's true. Actually, here, I've got the
Don't
nutritional...
look at the first ingredient.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Don't
the
you-
first ingredient... Okay, the first ingredient is sugar, but I'm sure it's brown sugar.
It means...
It just says sugar.
It means sugar, like it's addressing you as like a person, and it happens to be Southern. It's like sugar.
Oh, it's like, okay, sugar. Sugar, here come the ingredients.
Yes.
I see. So first it addresses us, and then the second ingredient is just petroleum. And then was this asbestos, high fructose corn syrup, sorbitol, baking soda, and Donald Trump's toenail clippers.
What's funny is none of those were a joke. That's literally
That's
what caramel delights are
Caramel
made
Light,
of.
which used to be known, I didn't even know this happened. These are what we used to call, now I called them samosas, but evidently they were called Samoas.
Okay, I call them samosas too, and then
Okay.
somebody else corrected me and said samosas are those little like pouch foods that you get with your Indian food.
100% that's correct.
And I was like, whatever.
100% that's correct. I'm an idiot.
And
Well,
I
we're
s-
both idiots
well,
together.
I stand by it.
But they stopped doing that because Samoa obviously is indicative of
people.
Samoans. Which you said is because they're brown, it was rude. I thought it is because they stole like their cultural taste palette.
I thought it was because it was like, why don't we call these Dwayne The Rock Johnson cookies? Like,
Yeah.
he's from Samoa. We're all on board. Everyone loves him.
Ooh, definitely.
It's
like
it's
rock
a non-starter.
cookies.
Like,
Yeah.
nobody's mad about that.
Nobody's mad about that.
And I would probably bought extra boxes, honestly.
But they went with caramel delights instead, or if you prefer, caramel delights. But we know what I don't like about this.
Listen, if you're one of those people, we're going to tell you right now, there's not a place for you here.
No. We're a Southern podcast by broke-ass Southerners. We say caramel down here, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
Is that true?
If you
It
ask me
must
for a caramel apple, I will send you out of the fair.
I said, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
We're going to wrap that caramel apple in aluminium?
Maybe they got those up
Wow.
in New England with your chowder.
Yeah.
Go back.
Chowder.
You dead.
You're dead. Fucking carpetbaggers. Okay. I don't really believe that. Well, in the
I don't
reconstruction,
believe
maybe.
80% of what I've said, and we just went over this.
We did. We talked about, have we ever said something embarrassing drunk on this podcast?
And
off
or
on a
something
tangent?
that we just don't remember.
You know what? Actually, I didn't say this earlier, but we were talking about high school in one episode. Don't worry, I won't say anything bad about high school. But I remember
High school is a concept to your specific
ours
experience.
specifically, but I do think I listened to the episode recently, I think when I was in Rome, and I
Which
was
we'll
in
get
Rome.
back to.
I was in Rome.
He's traveled.
I went to Rome.
Your girl's been around. He brought me back a silk scarf.
Oh, yes. And
Girl.
here's the great thing. It's big enough to wrap around your face 4 times.
Thank God.
Yes.
Because it's winter. That's what
It's
you
like,
mean, right?
Uh-huh. Gift for you, gift for the world.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome, my friend. And I was re-listening to an episode, and at one point we were talking about the cheerleaders in our high school, who, frankly, I'm pretty much neutral on, actually.
Yeah,
But-
most of our cheerleaders, like, we didn't have hateful cheerleaders. Like, hateful cheerleader is a stereotype, is, like, pretty ingrained, but, like, the ones I remember,
We're all sweet.
they
but,
weren't hateful at all.
But here's the thing, and it's being perfectly honest. The person
Except
I
for
was
that
today
one.
is, well, I can think of more too. That's fine. The person I was today is the person the person I am today is the person I was then. And that if they were hateful, I would say, fuck you, you silly bitch. And I would literally forget about it because they don't mean shit to me. So that's hateful, but it's also true. And that's called self-esteem. But in this episode, I think I was trying so hard not to offend any potential listeners. I was like, the cheerleaders we had, they were great. They were lovely. And I'm like, I was listening back to it, and I just want to say it rang very inauthentic. And it's not because they weren't lovely. I'm not, but I don't know. It's just on my mind. America,
listen, if you were a cheerleader at our high school and you were lovely, we hear you, we see you.
And we love you.
But if you're one of the other ones, we forget you and we don't see you.
And literally remind me who you are.
Yeah.
And that's literally the way I am.
And also, thanks for listening.
Yes. And also, back to Fyre Fest, right?
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Well, okay. First of all, I have a question. This is a good intro question to Fyre Fest. Would you have gone? If you had the money, let's say you made...
No.
100... Okay.
Never. There's no way. This is not for me, like, vacation caliber.
We were talking about music festivals, so this is perfect.
Yeah, it's not my thing. Like, so I've been to ACL, and then I got tickets to this other folksy sort of, like, Texas music festival that's, like, a camping thing, and Katie and Michael were going, and then the festival got canceled, and I was literally heartbroken.
Oh, I remember that.
I was literally devastated. That's the only other music festival that I've ever been like, this is the thing I'm spending my free time and my money on. I have never considered spending an exorbitant amount of money to go to a music festival.
$12,000 plus. Wasn't $12,000 like the minimum for a ticket?
To go to most music festivals, you need thousands of dollars minimum.
Madness.
Like 1 to like 3 or 4 to go to like a music festival. Because first of all, fucking even in Austin, like during South by or ACL, hotel and Airbnb prices, insane. Like, you will drop thousands of dollars on, like, where you will be staying.
And we've both been to South by Southwest, more or less, right? I've never done a badge, but I've done all the free events. But, like, there's a lot of free shows and stuff. So we've both done that. But I hated it. I hated it while I was doing it, and I've never done it again.
It's really not my thing.
Well, here's my thing. Here's what I don't like about music festivals. First of all, I don't trust rich people right off the bat. Frankly, music festivals are... There are a lot of poor people, but they're mostly rich people.
Because also, a lot of people get things for free. Like, corporate sponsors will, like, give shit to their people. Like, we went to ACL, but we went for free because Aaron got free tickets from HomeAway. We wouldn't have gone if we had to pay for it because it's really pricey.
Didn't you all win them in, like, a thing? Yeah. But anyway.
But still.
Just so people don't think y'all are like fat cats, like sitting on top of like HomeAway funds or something.
But we did like right off the bat, we saved like $800.
Oh, that's what it costs?
The wristbands are like $300 or $400.
Fuck my mouth. And that's insane.
And that's just a weekend thing. Something like a Coachella is like, I mean, Beyonce was like fucking there last year.
Yeah.
And it's like an experience. It's like an immersive experience.
I mean, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I will say just briefly, so I've been to South by. I also went to the Pitchfork Festival in Chicago when I lived there.
Okay.
That's a very small festival comparatively, and I only went for one day, and like it was whatever. I hated it too. It was too muddy. If I was like mega rich, won the lottery, I could see going to definitely Burning Man, which isn't really a music festival.
I would go to Burning Man. Problem with that too is like availability of time, because you really have to be there for like a whole week.
Oh yeah. And it's hard to get out there, and you have to pack everything in. I would definitely do Burning Man.
It's an experience. I would do that too. I can get on board.
But in general, I mean, the thing about music festivals is, I don't like a lot of the people. Frankly, I don't hate music. I'm not like a fucking psychopath, but I'm not like a music aficionado, really. And so live music doesn't really do it for me. And then 3, the smells and the mud. The smells and the mud. Let me say this one more time. The smells and the mud. And the muddy smell. And the smelly mud. I'm over all of that.
It's also a lot of effort because, like, especially when it's a multi-day situation, like, to really maximize, you have to be there a lot.
Yes.
Especially if it's, like, a camping festival where you are there, which Fyre Festival would have been, which Coachella is. Like, you're there, you're not leaving. You stay at the festival. You are the entire festival the whole time. So there's no privacy. There's no quiet. And, like, I just, like, it's a whole lot. And, like, I get the appeal for other people. Like, what an exciting thing. But I swear to fucking God, I'd rather go on a Viking river cruise through, like, awesome. The English fucking channels or the whatever.
Yes,
Isle of Skye,
Germany
Long British
or any
Isles.
of that shit.
Yeah,
Any
with
of those
a
river
bunch
cruises.
of old fucking people. Like, I would trade Coachella for that any day of my life.
Let me tell you something, honey. You get an old person drunk, that's just like another 30-year-old sitting across from you. Drunk old people are just like drunk people any age.
Old people love a young person that has an old soul.
Yes, especially if
Me
their
and old
pussy's
people,
out.
we click.
Yes, well, I don't know if you click so much as mush your parts together.
Yeah, we just shove it. But it's whatever. You
Well,
gotta live a little.
So neither of us would go to Fyre Festival, even if we were rich.
I don't think so. Because I've never been to the Bahamas, and if I want to go, that's not the thing I want to do. That's not the thing for
I agree.
me.
The plus about, or like the seductive thing about Fyre Festival, which, by the way, I'm just assuming y'all have some familiarity with this, because it's literally everywhere. But if you don't know about it, you can see their like advertising clip or whatever that they put out like a video like almost a year before Fyre Festival with like Gigi Hadid and Kendall Jenner and the other Hadid sister
Baldwin.
and
I mean Hailey Bieber now. She's married to Justin.
Oh, they got married? I didn't even know that shit happened. Well, good for her. Other things I don't care about. You can look up this video on YouTube and it looks like, I will say, it looks like the fanciest. Well, that's very true.
It is the widest
let's talk about
white rich people video ever.
Look, after watching the Netflix documentary, which is the only one I watched, I know you watched Hulu, I fucking hated all rich white people. And even middle-class white people, I was kind of still on the fence about. This documentary made me hate white people because these white people up in here, plus Ja Rule, also hated Ja Rule. These white people up in here, so privileged, so entitled. Not even the like the festival goers. I'm talking about the people who were in charge of the thing. I was like, go home.
It's the millennial generation of your nightmare. Like when you think of
100%.
stereotypical, like catered to privileged white millennials, it's everyone working on and attending Fyre Festival.
Yep.
It is a very white thing. And I don't know enough about festivals to say that music festivals in general is a very white people thing. But girl, I can tell you what I saw at ACL, what I seen at South by Southwest.
Where'd
when the ticket prices
are inflatable gorilla or something.
It was just a bunch of white people.
Oh, twist.
Like ticket prices for South by $1,500 for like a platinum pass.
Madness.
So like, it's a very white person thing to do, and I'll own that, to be like, I spent $1,500 to watch a premiere of a show that's going to be on Comedy Central, South by Southwest. Like, you're paying money to be the first person to see a thing that's going to be readily available through your radio or in your iTunes. And, like, it is definitely coming from a place of privilege, and the white people of the world just happen to be the most privileged.
And that's what I was going to say. It's not actually so much about, well, actually, I don't know. I assume it's not so much about race, but about social stratification and
it just
classism.
happens to fall that way.
Well, and it just happens that over, hundreds of years of systemic racism.
There is systemic injustice that has allowed the white people to rise to the top of, like, the crop. And, like, fuck them, and we hate them. Yeah. And we don't understand them, and they are wasteful with their money, and they make insane decisions, like quitting their job, taking out credit cards, foolishly buying tickets to a thing that had a fantastic marketing video, by the way. The marketing
campaign,
else.
Literally nothing else.
It is a testament to, number one, the millennial generation, and number two, the ability to believe everything you see on the internet. And the number three, the power of social media. Well,
let's talk about that because, very recently, we literally just watched a video, and it was on The View yesterday, actually.
Noise.
The models, like Gigi Hadid, who's the one I know, that's why I keep saying
Kendall Jenner's a big
Kendall
promoter.
Jenner, another big one. They both got, let's see, Gigi
also,
got...
they're like the world's most famous models at the moment.
Yes, of course. I know Kendall Jenner, of course. I mean, I try to ignore that whole family, but I can't. You can't really ignore them. So we saw that Kendall Jenner got $275,000
for one post.
One post, motherfucker. How much, Morgan? How many posts do you think you've done for Beauty and the Bitch? Overall Facebook posts.
All right, I could do a lot better, but I don't know.
Yeah. I would say
hundreds.
Yeah,
hundreds over the last couple of years.
How much money did you get paid for, Dims?
None.
What? No money? Mm-mm. But Kendall Jenner needs that money. That's the silver lining. Is she's not poor. Damn.
For listeners at
This is
home,
all
I
around
was
bad.
shaking my head. No. That is the idea. Okay, Kendall Jenner was allowed to rise to fame and power for a nuanced, special set of circumstances that all started with her dear sister having a sex video.
Yes.
That's an unusual situation, the what they have done. Also, Kim Kardashian's a fantastic businesswoman.
Mm-hmm.
She built her empire, and she is strategic.
Mm-hmm.
She's not stupid.
Mm-hmm.
They're not stupid. They know what they're doing over there.
No. I don't think they're stupid. I just think they're tactless.
They're assholes,
Trash.
for sure. But the way that influencer marketing works on social media, Instagram in particular, it has like changed the landscape of marketing. Like you can now like essentially like get a minor in social media marketing. Like this is a thing that is not going away. And like that video we just watched said that like the social media marketing empire is going to be like a $5 billion industry this year. Like $5 billion because people like Kendall Jenner are getting $275,000 for one ad.
Yeah. Well, and that's what was interesting. You know, speaking of ad, it was an ad. They were paid. They had no intention of going to Fyre Festival, as far as we can tell.
Oh, no.
But it didn't say anywhere. All of these models and influencers,
Which
and there
is
were
illegal.
like 200 plus. Yes. It didn't say on any of them, this is an advertisement. I was paid to say this.
Yeah.
This is a sponsored post. Nothing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, foolish people with money to burn, but nonetheless, a lot of people saw that and said, oh, fuck, I can go hang out with Kendall Jenner. I have no life. Let me do that. That's what I assume they thought, but maybe
At
it's not
least
something
one
different.
person thought that.
One person probably did think that. But that's a lot of people are saying the real villain in this is not actually Billy McFarland, though he is a villain. We're going to get back to him.
Straight up.
Oh my God.
He was the creator, the mastermind behind Fyre Festival.
The sociopath.
Along with Ja Rule,
Ja
who has
Rule.
conflicting stories of being like, it was all my idea, and being like, I had nothing to do with it.
I literally have no opinion about Ja Rule prior to watching this documentary, but I have to tell you, in the Netflix one anyway, he comes off as a fucking douchebag. And I don't like him.
I will say I was at a happy hour the other day, and somebody asked if Ludacris Bridges, they just called him Ludacris because they don't know his name, because they're not a true fan, if he was the person who, like, was the co-sponsor of this, and I got, like, legitimately furious, because your boy Ludacris is doing good in the world. He's still in the Fantastic, Fast and Furious series, and,
he's done lots
also
of
probably
acting.
a little racist to confuse them. But you know what? It really doesn't
Yeah.
matter, except that Ludacris is better than Ja Rule in all ways.
I would say that. He definitely has a bare body, because Ja Rule was shirtless for half that documentary, and I kept thinking, put your damn shirt back on.
Yeah.
Looks like a fucking pair of chicken wings.
Yeah. I stand by this statement that I have made.
Yeah. Is this going to be one of the embarrassing things we look back on later?
Because I'll never change that opinion. That opinion will
Ludacris
stand.
is superior to Ja Rule. Well, Ja Rule seems like a fucking idiot to me, based on this documentary. But I'm just going to let that go, because I don't know the man. I don't know the man. So do you think the models should be held accountable? What would you do if you were queen of the world, which you are in my heart, but
Thank
not
you.
actually?
Oh my God, love you.
You're so welcome.
It's really interesting that you say that, because I just read an article that was saying the Kendall Jenner, she is a brand. She's not a person, and her brand is managed by a group of people. So she has these people that are in charge of what she does. Kendall Jenner didn't get a phone call from Billy McFarland's team. She didn't pick that phone up. So she has a team of people that set this up for her, right? Like she has her managers. And they have
been fact checking and
yes. And so they have been subpoenaed in this investigation that's ongoing for Fyre Festival, because I think we might have already said, or maybe we didn't, Billy McFarland, the founder and creator of Fyre Festival, is in prison currently on a sentence of 6 years, not for his actions with Fyre Festival, but for his actions of violating his parole. So he's in prison for a separate charge, related but separate. And so they're still investigating Fyre Festival. He still has to have his court date for Fyre Festival.
This was for the scam he pulled after Fyre Festival.
After Fyre Festival, he went maybe to prison briefly, and then he got out on parole, and then
he started a company called like VIP NYC.
Yes, and then he was trying to sell tickets to fake
things,
events,
yes,
like the Met Gala.
Yeah, the Met Gala, which you cannot you have to be invited to that, and you're like on a list, and they like fucking really look at that list. Like you can't just be like, I'm gonna buy Met Gala tickets.
Like even if you're Rihanna and you show up in like a crown and they didn't have you on the list that year, Rihanna's not getting in. Riri's gonna go bye-bye.
No, exactly.
Riri cannot go unless she was invited.
Or if she brings those whips and chains.
Which, yeah.
They excite her.
Yeah. She may be bad, but she's perfectly good at it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Anyways, yeah, so he started that, and that's what landed him in prison for the next 6 years, but he'll probably get out early. Whatever.
So here's the thing. He's a criminal. He's a scam artist.
He's a scam artist.
I felt like, though, watching this documentary, that I felt like everyone was kind of a scam artist. All those people involved, and they were all trying so vociferously. There were a couple. Some of the lower ones who were like blowing the whistle from the very beginning, the lower people in the Fyre Media company. Some of them I don't blame, but a lot of those upper management people, like the guy who said he'd suck a dick to get the Evian water across the border, we'll get back to that.
He's a meme. He's a whole meme.
He is a whole meme, and he's beloved right now, but I'm like, girl, he also did a bad job and ran away and just abandoned everyone.
Let's take this moment to talk about the fact that we watched two very different documentaries.
That's interesting.
About the very same thing.
Fascinating.
So, we mentioned at the top of the show that there are these two dueling documentaries happening right now. Excuse me, my wine burps.
Oh.
And they have like really... Oh, look at him.
That was on command.
Microphone.
Yeah,
He did it.
It was commanded.
There are good things and bad things about both, according to the internet, and I'm sure. What I can say is that what I had read and why I watched the Hulu documentary instead of the Netflix one, which I would totally go back and also watch the Netflix one. I just have not done that yet, and I think it's a good setup for us.
Yeah, vice versa.
The Hulu documentary worked separately from, like, the way that the internet phrases it, like, separately from anyone who was involved in, like, the production directly, except they did an interview. They paid... What's his name?
Billy McFarland.
They paid Billy McFarland to do an interview, $150,000.
Oh, that's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah, but he doesn't get it because he's in prison.
Oh.
So they paid him $150,000.
They can't put that into his commissary? Can't buy hot Cheetos?
I don't know. And he's got this girlfriend. Did you meet her? Her name's Anastasia. We'll get back to her.
Oh, shit.
She Wilden. They paid him money, and that's their biggest controversy. People are like, collusion. They paid Billy McFarland money. But, girl, they did not paint him in a good light, and they paid him money because they wanted to be able to use his words against him. And then the other person they used who was directly related to the production of the festival is a marketer named Oren X, who worked at Jerry Media, who is the media company that did a fantastic job with the marketing campaign that led to the downfall. Directly is the main contributor to the downfall because they did such a good campaign. And he was one of those whistleblowers the whole way who was like, this is not right. Look at all these emails we're getting. They're asking us to delete comments. Like, these are not good things. These are red flags. And, like, the upper management was like, do this thing. This is our biggest client. Like, we don't care. Our only job is to accept their money and, like, do this. And so that's a whole controversy. And then the Netflix documentary notably refused to pay money to Billy McFarland. Like, that's their notable thing. And they didn't
have an interview with him.
And they didn't have the footage, right. But then they also worked closely with Jerry Media, which they were like, it's fine because they got swindled out of money in this endeavor. Not that much money. They made a lot of money along the way. But also, I just read a headline that said that they paid that money, or they donated that money to the GoFundMe. I don't have any proof that happened, but that's what they've said.
Caterer who got so screwed by Fyre Festival. Yeah.
But she only earned $200,000, and I assure you, they made more money than that along the way.
Well, there were millions being thrown around. They spent $5 million
on Instagram ads. Yeah. There's no way they only earned $200,000 or less. But anyways, so that's what they're claiming. They're claiming, like, we're fine. We're impartial because, like, we took the money they gave us and we paid it out. So the internet is very divided on the perspectives of these documentaries.
And that was something, I mean, for one thing, the, okay, let's talk about the oral sex part. Just real fast.
Let's do it. Because I didn't watch Netflix, I've just been seeing meme after meme and being like, I don't understand and I have FOMO.
So that guy's name name. Oh, I pulled it up here.
Sucky McDick-a-lot.
Sucky McDick-a-lot. Oh, fuck. Well, wait. I thought I had it written down.
Oh, you wrote it on your dick. Pull it out.
Oh, Morgan's always trying to get me... No, Andy King. That's his name. He's a party promoter. I believe he's New York-based, though I'm pretty sure that man grew up in, like, upstate New York. Because I know old money when I see it.
Yeah.
That's old money, that man. He probably has
Is it the blonde comb-over
mansions.
that tips you off?
It's the way he
that's what I'm
talks.
working
It's the
over
way
here.
he speaks. No, I love your blonde comb over.
Thank you.
You're so welcome.
If I do wear it long enough, I'll earn a lot of money. That's what I'm thinking.
Only if you file for bankruptcy 7 times in your lifetime and start
It
off
can
with
be
a small
done.
$1 million loan from your father.
Insignificant.
Tiny.
Chump change.
So this man, his name is Andy King, and old Billy McFarland had worked with him on a previous venture, which was like a millennial credit card endeavor.
Yes, it was called
Genesis?
No, it was something just like, it was like something
Genesis. Yeah, anyway.
Magnesis.
Magnesis, yeah, which looks tacky, sounds tacky, and was also a failure, I heard. Because, like, he offered all... Well, it doesn't matter. It was the same thing, though. He offered stuff he couldn't give, essentially.
Because scam artist.
Because scam artists. And he preyed upon, which is hilarious to me, really rich people, really rich white people in New York. It's a very similar kind of...
Rich, young white people.
Exactly.
Who wanted an exclusive experience. They wanted to be made to feel important. Like, we're in a club that other people aren't invited to because we white.
Exactly. And rich. And young. Yes, all those things. So... This Andy King, first of all, worked with Billy McFarland on that, which was essentially, I mean, it wasn't quite a scam, but it's pretty close to a scam. And then Billy McFarland pulled him in kind of late in the game, I think a couple months before Fyre Festival, to come do this. And because he was a party planner, he became kind of like chief of operations, kind of, or I don't know if that's his exact title, but like, you know, he was kind of had hands in all the pots, trying to make sure it turned out. Well, he failed miserably, first of all. Can I just say, this failure got past all of these people. And in the documentaries, I don't know about the Hulu, but Netflix, it was so obvious they were all just trying to blame Billy McFarland. And yes, it is definitely his fault. But I'm also like, all you motherfuckers too. Yeah. Yes. I don't think anyone came off well. But Andy King, okay, so... He was out of the country. He was doing something fabulous in the Bahamas, not related to this. Another indication of old money, by the way. No big deal. And Billy McFarland called him or texted him, and he was like, hey, I need something from you. You're like our gay dad. I really need your help. Literally said that. And old party planner Andy King was like, what do you need from me, my sweet little white princess? And he responded, I need you to take one for the team because we've got 3 crates of Evian water bottles held up at the border here on the island. And they say they won't let us take it to the camp unless we pay them $120,000. And this was like a couple weeks before the festival. By the way, they had no money like a month before the festival.
Half of their scam was to not pay their taxes on any of their imports, including like alcohol, water, food, everything.
It's so insane.
That was like half their plan, but like they didn't count on like the people in the Bahamas like being good at their job and giving a shit.
Yeah,
also,
exactly.
like probably racist.
Yeah, deciding they can just take advantage of these people because they're lucky to have the business or something. The business that, by the way, no one got paid for, including the day laborers. That's day and night laborers.
They started a new GoFundMe for the day laborers.
Good, because I'm getting off tangent. I'm getting off topic.
Yeah, fuck these people.
Andy King. So Andy King, the little
Evian
Billy
water.
McFarland. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Billy McFarland was like, I need you to go talk to this customs officer and take one for the team. Would you be willing to like blow him? And literally this happened. And I think almost exactly in those words. And then Andy King was like, sounds like Tim Gunn. He's got a Tim Gunn voice. That's who he sounds like.
So does.
Reminds me of Tim Gunn, actually. And he was like, I went into my bathroom and I took a shower and I used some mouthwash, and then I drove across the island, fully expecting to blow this officer. And now, I have to tell you...
I think he said the phrase, suck a dick.
Suck a dick. Which is fair, you know, and you do what you have to do for your team.
And we all have to pump ourselves up for these things sometimes.
Where I call bullshit, though, this man's probably 50, 60 years old, moneyed white gay.
50s, I'd say, yeah.
You're telling me...
He's skeptical, BBs.
If this motherfucker, this whole Andy King, was on this island by himself, sucking big black dick wouldn't be on his daily schedule anyway.
Right. Like, it's eternally penciled in?
Yes, exactly. And of course, it's different. I mean, if this had actually happened and he had been, like, you know, forced or something, of course that's awful. But that's not what happened. He met the customs officer. The guy was very nice, said, you can pay us later. And he took the fucking water out the place.
No dicks needed to be sucked.
No dicks. But I'm so obsessed with this man being like, I was willing to do it. I was willing because I'm a team player.
And
I'm
he's like an
girl.
internet queen right now.
Yeah. Oh, completely. Which...
Andy King, the internet queen.
For being willing to suck the sixth dick of his day. You know what I mean? Like, come on, girl. Don't fuck with me. I know better. Also, when everything went down, the festival fell apart. Everyone had to be flown out. And then the day and night, laborers began to riot because no one had been paid a cent for like a month and a half of 24-hour-a-day work, more or less.
They worked like literally around the clock.
Literally, because no planning, or very bad planning. They started to literally like become a mob and riot a bit, which I do think it'd be scary if you were there. I also see their point of view. If I was them, I would fucking mob out too. But this motherfucker, old Andy King, he ran his ass. He switched clothes with someone else, one of the day laborers, hid behind a dumpster.
No!
Yes! And then ran his happy ass off the island.
Y'all, they did not feature this goodness in the Hulu documentary.
They didn't get his interview. So that's a plus of Netflix, is you get to hear the oral sex story, which is... ludicrous.
You know what they did have a lot of in the Hulu documentary is interviews with the people from the Bahamian people.
Bahamians, yes.
Yeah.
Who all seem lovely and straightforward and kind and forgiving. Honestly, I would be so furious if maybe that's my privilege. I would be forever furious and I would have nothing but invective for these people. Right. But they're all very like, I mean, they're mad, but they're not like hateful at all, which I'm shocked by.
It's a special character like trait,
I guess,
that we do not all possess.
No, I surely don't. You fuck me once, I will burn your life down.
You know, it's because we have like a modicum of privilege. Like we have some, not as much as we would like, but we have.
Could always use more.
We have a lot though in comparison to like maybe what they experience on a daily basis.
That's true.
So like,
but.
It's great that they have an ability to like let things go to more of an extent.
Yeah, I mean they're still looking for their money, but it's not like eating them up inside. Whereas for me, I would be a husk at this point. You know, if I was owed $20,000 for a month of solid physical labor in the sun, girl, it would be Atlantis too. I would sink the island. Okay, so let's see. What did I write down? Fuck these rich twats. Wow, I hate everyone. Fuck Billy McFarland.
These are real-time notes.
Did you meet Samuel Crost in the Hulu?
Okay, I'm really bad with names, so I'm not sure.
I had to look him up. He's the one who was in charge of media. Young, tall, thin.
At Fuckgeria?
Who? No. He was part of the Fyre group. He may not have been on yours. Short hair, gorgeous. Kind of ambiguously racial.
I don't think so. Ambiguous. I think that they didn't use any of the same people for the documentaries for some reason. Like, it makes sense that they would probably have to sign, like, a non-disclosure, like, exclusive or something.
That actually makes complete sense. Okay, wait. Let me pull him up, Morgan, so you can see him. So this motherfucker... So I went on a ride with this guy. He was in charge of media for Fyre.
As in, like...
And he booked all the
He was,
acts.
like, their market... Oh, like... Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Yeah, because there was the Fyre, the Fyre business originally was booking artists,
yeah,
and then Fyre Festival was just a...
The Fyre Festival is just a promotional event for their big business plan of the Fyre app, which is, but like, first of all, also, they tried to put this festival on in a 4-month time span.
Right.
4 months. Like, maybe if they had had a year... Like, they had the money, they had the investment, because obviously they dropped millions on a bunch of different things. Like, they could have created this, but they are just so fucking greedy and so fucking stupid.
This is him. I don't know if you...
No, I've never seen him.
He's like a tall, beautiful drink of water. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't listening because I was looking this up. Why'd you just say? I'm not going to go
Oh my God,
for
I
it.
literally don't know.
Okay, fabulous. Well, I have something to say.
That's crazy.
No, it all works out. Now the man gets to talk. It's amazing.
Go ahead.
Just kidding. But I am going to talk now. So Samuel Crost.
Samuel Crost, the patriarchy. Go on, continue.
Beautiful. When I was watching the Netflix thing, I was like, who is this man? Stunning. And he was 22 when he was hired. And
they're all pretty young.
All young. Billy McFarland hired him on to book all these acts. And he was like, I'm 22. I don't know how to do this. Like, what do you mean? But he tried. He did his best. He got Blink-182 for a minute, you know.
That's some sort of accomplishment.
I mean, you know, and Major Lazer. Anyway, the point is, so I thought he was gay because, you know, girl, little signs here and there. He was crossing his legs a certain way, very fashionable. He grew up with Gigi and Bella Hadid.
Like, he was friends with them?
He's childhood friends with them.
Okay,
so he's rich as fuck.
he was privileged to start with.
Yeah, rich as fuck. And then I learned he's an Instagram celebrity, and he dated Selena Gomez. Huh, fascinating. But the reason I bring this all up is, one, he is beautiful. I love the way he looks. Two, at the end of the Netflix documentary, don't fall for this shit, okay? Because in the last few moments, they're talking about all the credit card charges that Billy McFarland racked up on other people's cards. And this old Samuel Cross, who looks genuinely could be a poor kid. I mean, he looks good and he looks like he has nice clothes. But I've known people who are very poor but look rich because they have great taste. I just assumed that's who he was. So he's like, yeah, he racked up $120,000 in charges on my personal Amex, and I've yet to see any of that money. And I was like, oh, this poor guy. And then I realized, one, how do you get an Amex card with that high a fucking limit?
Yeah.
Two, and then I looked him up and I was like, girl, you're rich as hell. You are rich as hell. You could probably sell like 20 things out your closet, and that's $120,000. So shut the fuck up.
One Birkin bag.
Ugh. So, and that's what this whole thing was. It was really just an exercise in rich kids getting swindled.
It is, and it's so deeply upsetting because just like the level of like privilege has like allowed these people to be, they don't care. Like, besides that, it like in so many ways it's like this huge joke on like millennial privilege, and like everyone's like, yes, it's a horrible crime, but also like, who really cares because privilege.
Yeah.
But also the fact that these people are able to do such a thing because they have these Instagram connections. Fucking Instagram allowed them to do this horrible travesty. And now, love them, hate them, think you smart, think you stupid, Billy McFarland is now spending a minimum of 6 years in prison for his actions. Probably more when they finish with this investigation. Of course, he's white and he'll do time served and like whatever. But it's just insane. Like, and then when he gets out, he's going to do it again because he's going to be able to. Because he still has these connections and he's still going to have the privilege.
I agree with you.
There is nothing that can like stop this.
Well, part of his thing is he's never allowed to be CEO of a business again. He's got like a life, but I mean, that's so easy to work. He even did it with his scam that he got, his like VIP NYC scam or whatever. He hired in some little know-nothing, I guess this wasn't the Hulu thing either. He hired in some little know-nothing off the street.
Like an executive.
Like and made him like the CEO or whatever.
Yeah.
But then Billy McFarland was in the room listening while this guy made essentially cold calls, like a fucking telemarketer, to try to sell tickets. And I was like, what an obvious scam. These poor fools. At 22, if Billy McFarland came to me, I don't know anyone like him, but if he somehow came to me and said, I would love for you to be in charge of all the copy for my upcoming Fyre Festival, I would leap on that in a second.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't think the models should be charged in this. I don't think we ever charge models if the product's not good. That doesn't make sense to me. I just think it does need to be illegal to post something that's an ad without saying it's an ad.
And it is
now.
illegal.
Yes. Oh, but they're enforcing it now more.
Yeah. So you're right. That's a good fallout. I'm not saying like, ew, the porn models, but I do agree that like, their job is not to make sure any of the things they promote are good. Their job is to promote a thing. You have paid them for a service and they have fulfilled their service. And honestly, sometimes I unfollow people on Instagram when they do sponsor posts with things I don't agree with or products I don't like, or if they do too many posts, because I follow a lot of Instagram influencers because it's good inspiration for like if that's something you want to do to kind of see what other people are doing successfully, and also because I like some of those people and like they're inspired. I don't follow any models. Don't get me wrong. I follow like basic ass influencers like whatever. Like, the person I follow with the most followers is a girl named Yoga Girl, and she lives in Aruba and owns, like, 5 foundations and does good in the world.
Wow.
And then her and, like, people below her status is what I follow. Anyways. But if somebody is, like, doing a bunch of posts for, like the other day, somebody was doing a bunch of posts for, like, fucking Always, which is a pad brand. And I don't like Always because they put carcinogens inside of their pads. And they put a lot of bad stuff in there. And when you wear that really close to your body inside of an open cavity, you can have a lot of negative effects from that. And, like,
makes sense.
Whatever. So I don't wear those, and I don't like seeing a bunch of ads about that. So I just, like, hid that person from my feed and, like, whatever. But it wasn't her job to make sure Always pads didn't maybe give someone cancer 10 years ago. That's not her job. Her job is that somebody gave her a shit ton of money to be like, what's up, y'all? I love Always pads.
Exactly.
She did her job. Her job is done.
We have never, as long as it's obvious that it is a commercial, we have never held actors or models accountable for the product. And that doesn't even make sense.
We were mad when Kendall Jenner did that Pepsi ad with the cops and the riot.
That's true.
Kendall Jenner makes a few missteps, but she bounces back.
Well, yes, that's true. That's true. But that was tacky, and she should have known better.
She should have.
I think with this Fyre Festival
she didn't know
thing,
this festival was going to suck.
No, it had never happened before. And there's a first year for everything. You know, I don't blame people for, especially people that worked on it, for saying, "Oh, this is a great idea," because it could have been. Maybe not my kind of awesome, but like an awesome. It could have become an international event.
The video alone, if what you were given is the video and asked, would you like to be paid to promote this?
Yeah,
the answer would be
I would say yes, especially because they were offering, if you did the promotion, all those big influencers, you then got a free ticket.
And some of them did go.
Yeah, including airfare. Yeah.
In the Hulu documentary, they interviewed like 3 different influencers who posted about it, like lower level, like couple 100,000 and like below. Lower level. They interviewed those people, and one of those influencers did get a private villa. Like, they did manage to secure a couple of like whatever, and she had all these videos of like her and her friends like dancing around and having fun, and they were like, woo, Fyre Festival, and then it would cut to the chaos of outside, and then they would cut back to her and she'd be like, yeah, we feel kind of bad about that.
Girl,
like, they were living their best life.
Here's my question though. I don't know when they left, but because I saw on Netflix, I wonder if the owner of that house/villa came back and said, no one's paid me for this house. Get the fuck out, because that happened. They didn't pay anyone for anything.
Isn't that crazy?
It's madness. It's illegal. It's criminal activity.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of people being subpoenaed, and there's going to be continuous legal stuff going on with this.
Well, I agree with you that Billy McFarland might show back up. I hope the motherfucker does it. I hate him on sight at this point. Ugh.
Also, in the Hulu documentary, his girlfriend Anastasia was
there.
tell
me, because she wasn't in.
So, she is maybe, like, a model, or, like, she's some sort of person that's, like, affluent. And she's, like, Russian or, like, Eastern European.
Is she blonde?
She has, like, honey blonde hair.
Okay, no. There was some blonde lady
she has, like, an accent.
who was like an investor I saw. But
no, this girl, she didn't know anything about Fyre Fest. So they met, she met Billy after the Fyre Fest debacle, but before he went to prison, obviously. And they got together, and they have all these pictures of how in love they are. And she was like so in love with him. She was like the way he pays attention to me, and like his attentiveness, and like all these other things. And then and then they would cut to this other person that was basically describing what a sociopath is. And then they would cut back to her. Like, they didn't like edit it in such a way where they were like, a sociopath is this, and she was like, and this is what he did. But they very subtly were like, example of a sociopath, and the way this girlfriend talks about her boyfriend. And she's like, and at one point in her interview, she was like, oh, he's calling, do you mind? And she like left to take the phone call. Yeah, and she's like in it to win it. She's like, I won't be leaving him just because he's in prison, and he's gonna get out, and he's innocent. And...
That's very Russian of her.
Oh, it's crazy. But she's already wealthy. Like, she doesn't need him.
Oh.
Like, she's an affluent person who's just like, people with the people who are scam artists have the charisma.
You know what's interesting about Billy McFarlane, though, as far as his charisma? Because he does have a ton. But it's weird. It's like a vulnerable charisma. Because he seems so awkward and nerdy that's what makes him trustworthy, though. Because a lot of people were saying that in the dog. And every time you see him just walking, he's like schlubbing around, you know? Like in the video with him and all these models, you're like, one of these things does not belong. And it's that fucking overweight, hairy white guy.
Just like subtly overweight and awkward.
Yes, which is, no body shaming. It's totally fine. But I'm just saying, he doesn't really fit in with the rest of these naked models in Ja Rule. You understand? And I always, throughout the thing, I was like, how does he do this? But I think it's that weird, nerdy vulnerability because it makes you think, this poor guy, he's just trying his very best. I just want to help him.
In the Hulu documentary, they said several times that he and others thought of him as like the next Zuckerberg. Like he thought he was the next Mark Zuckerberg.
Well,
and that's how he presented himself. He was like, I'm an awkward, nerdy, smart person, and I'm the next Mark Zuckerberg. Treat me as such.
Girl, I ain't gonna treat you like anything until you actually achieve something.
Do you want to go on a side
Fyre
tangent
Fest.
for one moment?
Always.
You know who is charismatic and attractive?
Me.
Ted Bundy.
You watched the Ted Bundy tapes.
I didn't.
On Netflix. Oh, you haven't?
But did you know they're making a Ted Bundy movie coming out this year starring Zac Efron as Ted Bundy?
Ooh.
I watched a trailer for it and it gave me too many strange feelings, and I recommend right now that everyone Googles the Zac Efron Ted Bundy trailer.
Ooh, hot. It is hot. You can't help it. Zac Efron.
And I guess Ted Bundy was also hot.
He was supposed to be attractive and very charismatic.
Crazy.
You know what? I have to say, I'm not really into true crime. We've talked about this 1,000 times. You are, and I'm not. And that's one of the things that makes us different and special. But
we're different.
We're special. But I have to say, I'm over this whole, like, who cares about serial? Why do we make... Serial killers are, like, they're not even infamous anymore. They're just famous at this point. Like, I could rattle off 5 or 6 right now off the top of my head. And I think that's wrong. I think we need to stop holding up serial killers as... some kind of cultural icons. We need to forget about them.
Are serial killers a really American thing? Like, obviously, there are non-American serial killers.
Sure, like Jack the
Ripper.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I'm sure billions of others, but... Yeah.
But none as famous. Okay, is it because we're American that the ones in America are more famous?
Yeah, I think so. Because I'm sure there are serial... I mean, China alone, I'm sure, has got to have
they're not called serial killers in China. They're just parents who have to choose between their children. You only get one.
Harsh!
You get one, the rest of them go over the cliff, and by the rest of them, I mean the girls.
No.
Guess what? Now they're having a population crisis in the wrong way. They have too many men, not enough women. And now they want you to have 2 children. They're having a 2-children policy. You fucked it up, China. You burnt. You dead.
You poor!
And you smoggy.
Smog. I am smog.
Is what China says.
What were we just talking about?
Ted Bundy.
To serial killers.
And before that, we were talking about how people are charismatic.
Well, the thing is, I'm just over the whole thing. They are all charismatic. I mean,
serial killers?
Yes, that's the way they make it happen. But look, we have to continue learning about Hitler and Mussolini and Stalin because they were very important historically. These serial killers are not important historically. I mean, they're important to the people and the families that they victimize, but to the overall culture, I don't think they're that important. And it doesn't seem to me like there's more now than there used to be. There's always psychopaths and sociopaths.
Was Jack the Ripper like the first serial killer? You know what I mean? Like he's like the oldest one.
I got another look at him though.
Oh,
he's so pretty. And he's tall.
He looks tall.
I'm still talking about old, what's his name, Samuel Croft. Ooh, it's fine. If he's a serial killer, I'm down.
That's what people said about Bundy.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, the serial killer thing, it's weird because I totally understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm in the very specific demographic of women ages like 18 to 45 that are eternally fascinated with murder.
I've noticed that, yeah.
And oh yeah, it's a thing. And I read this like article, or half this article, that was talking about how there are many psychological reasons that women are fascinated with crime and like murder in particularly, and that it has to do maybe with the psychology of being the weaker sex and continuously having to worry about that. Like, not that men don't worry about being attacked, because of course men get attacked. But for example, in the middle of the day the other day, I usually go for a walk after lunch with my coworkers, but they couldn't go. So I was like, I'll just go by myself to keep it up. And middle of the fucking day on the east side of Austin, I was walking and a man drove by in his car slowly, turned his head to stare at me, and then went to the end of the road and stopped for an unnecessary amount of time. And I turned right around and went back to work. I was like, my walk is not worth it. This person could like rape me, murder me, kidnap me. Like there's a number of things this person could do. And I, as a generally weaker person than most like 6 foot tall men, could do nothing to stop him.
Sure.
And so like you're just perpetually like every time I go anywhere alone, I'm perpetually assessing the situation. And like men don't in general necessarily live in that world. And so there's something about the aspect of crime that's fascinating. It's almost like, is it a learning experience? Like what happened? What did she do wrong? It could happen to anyone, but how could you be more prepared?
You're like
how could you be prepared?
Third or fourth person I know who's been like, you're not super obsessed with serial killers, but you are interested in the whole thing. All 4 of them have been women. So, I mean, that's very, it's factual.
Women love crime.
At least anecdotal.
It's a phenomenon. Yeah. True crime is a women-dominated genre.
And I've never known a man obsessed with that, and I don't give a shit. And frankly, it's not like there weren't. I mean, what's his face who made the sex zombies? He was a gay serial killer. You know, he put Drano in people's brains and then... okay, just for the record, yeah, I'll get back to him. But Herman Webster Mudgett,
for a serial killer,
H.H. Holmes.
Yes,
he's the first one.
Yes,
in 1896 is when he died.
Country?
America.
Yeah.
And then Robert Ressler in the 70s was an FBI agent who coined the term serial killer.
Okay.
For he played a significant role in the psychological profiling of violent offenders. That's what it says.
He took one psychology class.
Probably. Yeah. Oh my God. Serial killer with the highest known victim count. Do you have a guess? This is horrifying.
No. Tell me though.
It's not even his name. Harold Shipman with 218 proven kills and possibly as many as 250. He was a doctor.
Where?
So he's
why don't I know his name?
I will.
Is he a long time ago?
Oh
it's
my
okay,
God.
I can Google it later too. That's bizarre.
Well, he didn't even show up first in this. I know they're all over. I've got one in Colombia, Ecuador, and Venezuela that killed either somewhere between 172 and 300. He was a child murderer. The Beast. They called him the Beast.
If we're doing a general
confessed to killing boys between 8 and 16.
Ugh. General
Good
counts,
Lord.
I mean, Hitler killed a few million.
Yeah, but...
with his words, and then other people carried his actions out.
Pedro Lopez, Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador. Mikhail Popkov, Russia. Daniel Barbosa, Colombia, Ecuador, and Brazil. Pedro Filho, Brazil.
Okay, so
Yang
we murder
Xinghai,
all over.
China. Yeah, it's a worldwide thing. I mean, it's worldwide. Ukraine, the U.S. Who's that? Gary Ridgway. Haven't even heard of her.
Okay.
Truck painter, killing 71 women. The Green River Killer. Okay, I'm kind of interested off this Wikipedia page, but only for a second. You know, only for a taste, not for a meal. Speaking of things we've seen recently. Can I tell you? So I went to Rome.
Let's talk about it.
Just very briefly, the architecture lived up to expectations. The people were lovely. I didn't fuck any Italian boys. Just wasn't in the mood.
I was wondering.
I was planning to
I
be
know.
frank. But when I got there, who can say what's going on with sex drive? But I just wasn't. I didn't want to. So.
Well, you were in like a new place and so many new experiences. Probably your other sensories were in overdrive.
Yes. And my ball fungus was out of hand too. It was
plus, like for the first half, your friend was there and you were just hanging out with your boo-boo.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and she loves the ball fungus, so I can get rid of it.
Obviously,
and,
she's a good friend. What's up, Jessamine?
Hey, Jessamine. Thanks for taking care of my ball fungus.
Yay! Somebody's got to.
Probably a real thing, right? I guess a yeast infection.
Oh yeah.
Yeast is not fungus, though, is it? Or is it? No, it's not.
I cannot answer these things. Am
Okay,
I Sarah?
well,
I'm a different person.
I know. Oh, you mean all women aren't the same?
No,
Damn.
but mostly.
Okay. Well, you can either be a mother or you can be a whore. It's up to you. I know which one you picked.
I mean, both.
Okay, you're a whore. So on the plane ride back, that's just Italy and brief.
Oh my god, you skipped all the good stuff. We're just going straight to the return plane ride?
Well, here's the thing, though. It's because I watched 3 movies on the return plane ride.
Oh, you've seen some good.
Yes. And I think they're things you've all seen. And I have to tell you, I wasn't blown away by any of them.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I love that, don't you?
Tell me more.
So the first, A Quiet Place.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing.
That's fine. I'm going to process for just 1 minute.
Imagine, though, how I watched it.
But fuck you.
Okay, fair enough. Imagine how I watched it.
On a tiny screen. A tiny screen is not a place for all
with
things.
Earbuds. And I think watching that in theaters would have been much more powerful.
Okay.
Which is a problem, though, because, now that it's out of theaters, it will only live on smaller screens. So,
but our in-home screens have gotten so big.
That's true. But I'm just saying, it wasn't scary to me.
That's fair. Well, I didn't think it was scary.
See, I thought it was going to be scary.
I thought it was suspenseful. Girl, I took my baby boy Aaron to go see it. If I thought it was going to be scary,
that's true, because he cannot be doing a story.
Love you, baby.
And he didn't think it was scary.
I mean, he probably...
Well, I didn't think it was scary. I did think it was good. I mean, it was good. I will say I saw Bird Box first, which I know it's not the way it came out.
I haven't seen that, but there's a lot of memes and I need to.
They're very similar.
They're like the same concept, just had different senses,
extremely similar. Yes.
Also, I read Sandra Bullock wears full sets of fake lashes and eye makeup the entire movie.
She's gorgeous.
And it's
gorgeous.
Okay, the apocalypse. You had time to go get a fill?
Yeah.
You just fill your eyelashes.
Oh, she's looking good.
I mean, she's hot as hell,
but
I just can't stand for a zombie apocalypse film with bitches wearing makeup.
I know, it doesn't make sense. But on the other hand, I like beautiful everything. So one day I'm on your side, the other day I'm I don't care. You know what I mean?
It's stupid, but you like it.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So A Quiet Place, I think I gave that a 5 out of 10. I didn't like it at all.
Did you think Emily Blunt did a good job?
She was great. That silent birth, amazing. Almost silent.
Really good.
She's great. And I thought
Emily Blunt's hot right now. She's good in all
you mean
of the
popular.
things.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And I thought what's his face, her husband.
John Krasinski.
I also thought he was good.
Real life husband as well.
Overall, though, I was very meh. I also saw Crazy Rich Asians. Okay. Now that one...
We're just going to skip over any negative commentary you have on, the world's greatest, flashiest Asian film that's a great rom-com of 2018.
Look. You said the most important thing. As
rom-com?
Far as why... Yeah, exactly. I don't like rom-coms. I'm not a rom-com person.
Love a rom-com!
I will tell you, I definitely cried at the end. But... I'm an easy crier. It doesn't mean I'm always feeling emotion. Okay. I mean, that's not a problem.
Okay. Did you like it better than A Quiet Place? Just say yes.
Okay, yes. I definitely liked it better than A Quiet Place. I think I gave it a 7 out of 10.
Oh, that's pretty good for you.
It's not bad. Yeah. It's not bad. I liked it. It's just not my jams. I thought it was beautiful. I thought the characters were really well drawn. I loved the bitchy mother. And at the end, I'm not going to ruin it. That's when I cried.
That didn't happen in the book,
yes.
BT Dubs.
Oh, really?
But whatever, we'll get back to it.
Oh, it's so powerful. Something happens at the end, and that's when I cried.
It was great. It was a good change. It was a change that needed to be made.
Exactly. And also, I mean, tons of beautiful men and beautiful women. It was eye
gorgeous.
Candy. It was extremely
everyone was gorgeous.
Also, the trying not to spoil anything, the single parent kind of subplot or what that thing of course touched my heart. I think that's part of the reason I cried too. Powerful.
Yeah.
And then last I watched Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Okay.
Horrible. And here's what I'm telling forevermore. This is the hill I'm gonna die on.
Okay.
If you cast Michelle Pfeiffer in a fucking movie, do not give me 10 minutes of Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah. Okay? Maybe she didn't want to do more.
Well, maybe she'll be more Girl, they're going to make another one. So she'll probably be more prominent in the next one. I don't know what the plan is.
What the fuck is the point?
I thought that movie was fine. I thought that movie was...
I gave it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah. I was like, it was good. I'm glad I watched it. Will I ever see it again? No.
No interest ever in watching it again. No. I like that. Well, I mean, we did a whole episode on it, so I knew a lot about it because, we do the episodes before it comes out. But the Cypher, is that her name? Cypher? The tech lady?
Yeah.
I liked her. I thought she was sweet. But anyway.
It was a cop out of a villain, but, whatever.
Yeah, that's very
Marvel.
Fair. I mean, yeah. They didn't want true villains, so they gave you a fake villain.
Yeah.
And then that cheap-ass, that little weak guy was the real villain.
Yes, yes.
Hilarious.
And it was like, Morpheo. No, wait, Morpheus, but not him.
But not him, though. The little guns technology dealer. Just a man in a fancy car is all he fucking was.
They also couldn't put too much into Ant-Man and the Wasp because it was the first Marvel movie released after Infinity War. And so all of their good story arc went into Infinity War. And they cut Ant-Man out of Infinity War because they were like, he gets his own movie right after. So, like, they tied that. Did you watch? I'm sure you did. After the credits, there was like the final scene.
No, I didn't actually. I have no idea what it
Okay,
is.
well, the final scene, spoilers in case you don't want to hear this, but also, whatever.
It's the final scene of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Okay, we're not talking like fucking high cinema.
It's not high stakes.
Right here.
And then Darth Vader was his father.
How could you?
So Paul Rudd goes into the, what do they call it, where Michelle Pfeiffer was living in that void?
Subspace.
She went subatomic or whatever.
Subatomic, yeah.
So he went into the subatomic realm to complete some mission, whatever. It happened so quickly. And it was like him, and it was like his girlfriend, and then it was like Michelle Pfeiffer and the old guy.
Okay, yeah.
It was all of them, but Paul Rudd went in alone. And he like goes in, and they're like, we're going to talk you through it with the headset, and we're going to do all these things, and you're going to accomplish whatever. And then he can't get them to pick up on the earphone, and he's like, guys, I'm ready to come back. And then they flash back to them, and they've all been disintegrated because of the gauntlets.
Fascinating.
So this furthers a theory that we had discussed previously that we will resolve some of our stuff through a connection with Doctor Strange and someone else. We had talked about Captain Marvel, but if Ant-Man is living in the subatomic realm, Doctor Strange could easily pop in there when he was going through his like 300,000 different outcomes. Say, what's up, Paul Rudd? Good to see you. Terrible shoes. We'll talk about it later. Here's what we need from you.
You're charming.
So
what we've got so far for Endgame, because we will be doing a whole episode, but Captain Marvel, one of the most powerful
Brie
characters.
Larson.
Yes, it's gonna be amazing.
She should smile more.
So should you. No. Doesn't make sense. You smile all the time. Doesn't make sense. You know, a man told me that once on the street. I'll never forget it.
So
it gave me a lot of empathy for women who get it constantly, because I was like, fuck you, sir. I will rip your guts out and hang you with them. Don't tell me to smile. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, so I watched a bunch of movies I didn't like. I saw a bunch of Rome. I didn't suck no dicks. I did love walking around the city, and I got some good food.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to go like what. I
just want to know like what are your like
my favorite
highlights of your favorite moments.
Okay, so favorite moments. I love seeing the Sistine Chapel. I've written a play about the Sibyl of Cumae, and she's part of the Sistine Chapel, so that was powerful to me. I love the Borghese Gallery, which I know you didn't get to go to, right?
It's a sore subject.
I know it. That's why I'm bringing it up.
You.
I'm rubbing that salt in your wounds.
Happy for you.
Let me tell you though, we had to go through that line 3 times to get in, because the first time Jessamine had forgotten to check her bag. Because you have to check a bag. Second time, I had an umbrella. And the third time,
you got it.
I think we just did it for fun. I don't know why we went back to the end of the line. But it took us 3 times to finally get in there. But yeah, it was gorgeous. We got to see Daphne escaping Apollo. You know that sculpture where she's turning into the laurel tree?
I've seen photos.
I've seen it in real life. It was great. And also Persephone, the rape of Persephone. Gorgeous. Overall, though, I have to tell you, Morgan, it was full of, oh my God, I can't remember anything you hate right now. All the things you hate, though. Besides those 2 sculptures.
Just giant booger canvas.
It was just boogers. It was just all boogers. It was a beautiful mansion. That was a great day. And
no,
then we went.
I saw from the outside. It was lovely.
Stunning. And the park around it, also beautiful.
Yeah, and they have that like secret garden. Did you go to like the garden?
No, I didn't see no secret garden.
There's like a back garden that you can only access if you bought a ticket to the gallery.
What? Well, I wish I'd gone
There's
in there.
There's like a secret garden in every fucking Roman thing.
It's so
like,
true.
Every fucking thing is like, and have you seen the secret garden?
Oh, amazing. You know what? I love the Roman people were very kind to me while I was there, as far as I can tell. I'd heard it was a very dirty city, and that's true. But like every big there's metropolitan cities are dirty. Yeah, and there's a lot of homelessness there, and they deal with homelessness differently than we do. I actually didn't mind seeing homeless people ever. In fact, I was like, good for y'all that you're not fucking carting them away or just putting them in jail. That's what we do in America. Is you're homeless for too long, and we just throw you in jail and say, live here then. So I was like, this is not a problem for me. Things I loved, absolutely loved. My favorite moment, I told you this earlier, but I'm going to say it for the listeners, is actually one of my very last moments in Rome, because I was taking a taxi from my apartment to the airport to leave. It was my final morning there. And, you know, we went outside of like the like touristy, like what you think of as Rome, into more of like the suburb areas where probably most of the real Romans live who aren't super rich. And I happened to be looking out the taxi as the taxi driver was like giving me a series of aneurysms with his driving. I mean,
yes,
oh my God.
Girl,
Oh
they
my
are
God.
reckless, but like they also know what they're doing. But it's scary.
But various times I was like, you can't drive here. He was like going through a piazza or whatever. And I guess you are allowed to drive there, because no one stopped him, but I was like, this doesn't seem right.
With, like, hundreds of people everywhere?
Yeah, we're, like, driving up the Spanish Steps,
Yeah.
you know? I'm like, oh, God, I don't know if this is right.
Oh, my God. When we were there a couple years ago, the Spanish Steps were closed for renovation.
Meh.
And we made, like, our first night in Rome. We took the train and we got in kind of late. And all I wanted to do was grab a gelato and eat on the Spanish Steps, like Audrey Hepburn in Roman Holiday.
Sure.
And we walked all the ways over there, and I literally had a breakdown because there was a giant glass wall blocking it, so you could still take a photo, but they were like, can't be on here. And Aaron was like, he didn't understand, because of course it was like an outrageous way for me to react.
Sure.
But I was like, literally everything is ruined. And
that was your
nothing
Fyre
matters.
Festival. That was your Fyre Festival.
He was like, they're just stairs, and the gelato is perfectly, like, edible any other location. And I was like, fuck the gelato and fuck the city. I was like,
Rome,
devastated.
And fuck Europe. Oh, baby. Well, I have to tell you, I walked past those little Spanish Steps. I said,
You didn't
hello,
go
goodbye.
up them?
I went around and looked out. No, who gives a fuck about the Spanish Steps?
Me!
Well,
obviously.
Well, bitch, you know what?
Me and Audrey.
You can look, girl, there are steps all over the place. There's steps outside my front door. If you like steps.
I'm about to drink my wine and pretend like I still like you.
I'm going to give you
Go
some
on with your
Oreo ice
stories.
cream and let you sit your happy ass on my steps.
That sounds
How
good,
about
though.
that?
I'm
Okay?
into that.
Those are American steps. My most beautiful moment, though. So, yeah, I was doing this taxi ride, and we were in a part of Rome that I hadn't really seen except on the ride in, because there's not much out there except, like, day-to-day life stuff that I know of. And I looked out, and there was this mom who looked a lot like my mom, and this little boy who did not look Italian. I mean, he was blonde, I don't know, green or blue-eyed, light-eyed, and bright, like almost white blonde hair, which is what I looked like as a small child. And they were running. She had his hand, and she was like kind of dragging him behind her, and they were both laughing, and they were running to go catch a bus. And, you know, I think the reason that really we should be traveling when we're able to travel is, yeah, we want to see the Spanish Steps, we want to see the Colosseum, the Vatican. Those things are important. Those are, seeing landmarks, important historical things, that's good. But I think what's really ennobling about travel is those moments where you look at someone and you feel this surge of empathy and this sameness with them. And it was really powerful. I saw in that young Italian woman my mother, and I saw in that little boy who was laughing and trying to keep up with his mom, I saw myself, and it really touched my heart. And I'm so glad, thank the universe, that I had that moment, my very last minute, because it wouldn't have been a bad trip no matter what. It was a great trip, but that was what made it. That was ennobling. It really touched me, and it was just a moment of nothingness, really. I mean, how many people did I watch run to catch buses while in Rome? Bajillions. But it was just something about that moment, and I realized that though we are very different, and I don't like the cigarettes they sell there. We are also alike, and human beings do have those special moments and those special relationships, regardless of where you're from, that are universal for us, for humans. So that was my favorite moment, actually.
To quote the great Stephanie Meyer, author of Twilight and Other Sagas.
Genius!
You had a human moment.
I had a human moment, yes.
And there was a connection there.
There was a connection, and they were sparkling.
And Stephanie Meyers is a trash person.
Yep.
But her vampires live in Italy, and you went there.
Oh, do they really?
The Volturi?
Oh, but the books never go to Italy, though.
Oh,
the
no,
Volturi
they
come to her.
No, they go to
Really?
Italy. in a Twilight : New Moon or whatever.
I could see about half those people I saw in the city being vampires. No doubt about that.
I'm not trying to get into how many times I've read the Twilight books because I'm not ashamed, but I'm also not trying to like come for it because I know it's not good.
I'm definitely judging you right now.
What I'm telling you is that's a beautiful story.
Yeah. Oh,
and I love that like that's a reason to travel because also a lot of people think that traveling is a waste of money or it's like some sort of elitist escapism, but like it's not necessarily. It is a great way for you to see the world and to like change your perspective and like make connections because it's really easy to not feel empathetic for the people who've been murdered by serial killers in China because they're in a different world than you're in.
Sure.
Like, right? Like, I only know these American serial killers and that's on me. But, like, there are people all around the world, like, living similar lives and suffering similar fates and, like...
having hopes and dreams that are similar and fears.
Just
similar
fucking
fears.
Like us. And, like, we are one fucking people. And that's such a beautiful thing to take away from that.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, I finished a book while I was in Rome.
Tell me more, because I also finished a book and I got things too.
Oh my god, I choked. I'm dying.
We're doing a little bit of a long episode, but we got, like, some things.
Okay, so, I finished The Witches of Eastwick while I was in Rome.
Yes, I forgot you texted me about that.
It was, okay, so first of all, Morgie, have you seen the movie, The Witches of Eastwick? You haven't seen it.
But I'm familiar.
You know,
with
Cher, Susan Sarandon, Michelle Pfeiffer, Jack Nicholson.
Kaylee's a fan, our good friend Kaylee.
Oh, Kaylee, yes.
She loves a Cher, anything featuring a Cher.
Of course. I mean, how could you not? So the, oh, pardon me again. No, I'm fine. The original, Morgan keeps having to pause because I'm just dying of the plague over here. The original book is by John Updike, who wrote like Run Rabbit Run, and I'm not a big Updike.
He's fan. Like a familiar name, but like I don't think I've ever read him.
He's like a famous American author.
No, I haven't read him.
Let me make sure I'm not lying about Run Rabbit Run. But anyway, so it's about these three witches out in Eastwick, yes, which I think is in like New
York,
Jersey,
Maybe
Jersey.
It's like a very New England thing.
New England, anyway. And what's interesting about this book, I had heard women say that it was quite a misogynistic book. Because, without ruining too much, a man turns a coven of witches against each other. That's like the blurb I heard. I'm not even actually saying that's what happened. I will say, I didn't find... I mean, I am a man, so obviously my viewpoint's different.
Did you watch the movie too?
I love the movie.
You saw the movie
before
the
is
book,
very different from the book. Yes, I saw the movie like a decade ago.
Okay.
And finished the book like last week, so or whatever. So they're very different though. Like extremely different. Honestly, two different works altogether. There is some misogyny in it. I really think it's just Updike is such a fucking like dead white man of literature. Him writing a book about three women who even more than that are like uber women because they're all powerful witches. It just doesn't... It's like me writing a story about a football star.
It's like stay in your fucking lane.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, and normally I'm like, girl, tell a story. And I'm fine with him telling the story. I fucking read it. I didn't think it was trash. But I'm also like, okay, well, this is one of those examples of like, this wasn't really your story to tell, and I don't think you did it justice. Did I find it misogynistic? Not more so than it was homophobic.
Oh.
Not more so than it was
classist
or anti-Semitic. Slurs. They say faggot like 3 or 4 times.
They as in the women or other characters?
Both. They say the one Michelle Pfeiffer plays the youngest witch, Sookie. I think her name is.
Great name though.
And she says the I don't know if I should say it. The word for Jewish people, it starts with K.
Yeah,
that's a slur.
We're all familiar.
She says that at one. I mean, but like I think in literature, slurs happen. I read it and I was like, oh, that makes me a little bit sad. But also, this book was written in like the 50s. So like, how much can I expect of John Updike? You know what I mean? Like,
that's an interesting point.
I don't know.
That's an interesting thing because people have cited, conservative schools have cited the use of the N-word in books such as To Kill a Mockingbird
Tom
for
Sawyer.
reasons to pull it. Yeah, the Huckleberry Finn series, to pull those kind of books off the shelf. I don't agree with that at all. And I don't agree with that either, but it's an interesting thing, and also like the power of words and like the way that they're used, and like who the author is as a person, I think, is a big part of that.
It definitely matters.
Yeah.
It definitely... I mean, look, all that queer literature, that's my top shelf up there. Some of it, anyway. I bet you faggot is in every word. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, that is a word. It depends on the author. And and also, none of... I don't want to give away. There's kind of a twist at the end.
Oh.
None of the main characters are, like, gay in any real way. They're just not gay. They're just not gay. And sometimes the witches talk about, like, especially the main witch played by Cher in the movie. She's very different in the books. But she talks about kind of desiring her coven mates.
Okay.
But she never acts on it. And it's kind of like a passing thing and, like, whatever. So I just felt like queerness was not... I wasn't offended because I was like, girl, he didn't even do a deep dive into this. He's using it here and there, calling people poofters. Normally it's not a good moment for the character either, and like whatever, it's fine. But here's the thing, it was about women. It is a book about women, and I do think the same problems that don't offend me when it comes to queer people in The Witches of Eastwick, I can see why people are offended when it comes to women, because it's about women. It's a women-centric book. And somehow he makes this man like dominant over them. And if you've seen the movie, it's because the man is Satan, and so he has like all this power, but like it's still not a good look, you know. And they also are kind of like anti-heroes. Like they do a lot of they're like black magic witches.
Interesting.
So you have to keep that in mind too. But I'm also like, why are they black magic though? Why couldn't they just be like good witches or like neutral witches? They're like pretty evil. So I don't know. I don't really know. I do think there is a problem. I don't know where the problem is.
That's a sort of interesting book for you to read. What propelled you?
Witchcraft and liking the movie. You know, I have a whole section in my library that's like, you know, like magic, witchcraft, etc. stuff. And I mean, John Updike is like a classic American novelist, and I couldn't get into Run Rabbit Run or any of his other stuff. So I thought maybe this would be my in, because I love the movie. It's like a camp classic. There's nothing, it's so good. But it just didn't... There was some poetry in it that I liked. Or not actual poetry, but like beautiful writing. I would recommend it to you, though. I would love to hear your take on it. And in fact, all my listeners...
I'll add it to my
I would recommend
TBR.
it.
Yeah, I definitely will.
What about you?
So I wanted to go over two things that would sort of be plugs that I have enjoyed recently that I feel like are worthy of talking about. So the first thing I'll say is like, Morgan Messick, on this day, the 30th day of our Lord in January 2019, love This Is Us.
Oh, yes, you binged all that shit, didn't you?
This Is Us is like a show that when I heard it existed was like, this is not for me.
Sure.
I'm not trying to cry. I love Milo Ventimiglia, but is it worth it for the sadness to look at his body? Milo Ventimiglia.
Oh, is he the main guy?
He is...
That beautiful, tall black man?
No, that's Sterling K. Brown.
Oh, yeah, and he's gorgeous.
Also fantastic. Milo Ventimiglia goes back to my Gilmore Girls day when he was just the boy that Rory should have loved.
I'm going to look him up.
So anyways, so I never really watched This Is Us because I just didn't want to be sad. And then happenstance, whatever, I tuned in, and like 2 weeks later I've seen every episode and I'm concurrent with what's airing on live TV, and it is masterful. The way that it is edited, the storylines span like 6 decades, like 60 years of storyline edited together when you're like flashing forward to the future, and sometimes you're like way back in the past, and then sometimes you're in the present, and the present is the storyline starring Sterling K. Brown and Chrissy Metz and those people. They're like the modern day storyline, and then there's a past storyline and there's a future storyline. Past storyline is their father, played by Milo Ventimiglia, who you know from episode 1 is gonna, like, he dies young and tragically, and basically season 1.5 is building up to the reveal of how he died specifically, because they don't talk about it because it was really traumatic, and when they do talk about it, they're like, I don't want to talk about it. And just the way it's edited, like, whoever is in charge of that is like fucking crushing it. Like, the story is good.
The writing's good. The acting's good. It's all gotta be quality.
The writing and the editing is like...
That's
unparalleled.
interesting.
For network TV, unparalleled.
Actually, we were talking, because, of course, we talk about everything we're going to talk about before we start recording, because otherwise we go off on some sort of tangent that is offensive. But, frankly.
Always a fear.
Well, always. But I didn't think I was interested, but I have to tell you, I didn't realize it was intergenerational like this. And so it gives me like an Amy Tan kind of feel. You know what I mean? Which I love.
Yes.
Any story like that where like the effects of a grandmother can be seen on the granddaughter. Shit
and
like
that's
that is
an
so
interesting
powerful.
perspective. And this show is exactly that. It's very intergenerational, and everything about the modern storyline, the triplets, Chrissy Matt, Sterling K. Brown, and the other guy who I'm so sorry I don't remember his name, but he's fantastic.
Wait, they're triplets? They're siblings?
They're triplets. Sterling K. Brown was adopted, but there's a whole thing. They're triplets. They're triplets. And they're so good, but everything about their life and their actions, when they flash back to like the things that their parents did that shaped who they are today, it's like the most introspective. It's like one giant therapy session. Like, right, you'll see one of the triplets go off on like a bender and just like drink and like fucking and like just like losing it and like internally like, why am I this way? What's happening? And then flash back to like, oh, well, your father was an alcoholic, and here's these other instances that like may have led to like the psychological effects that have like affected you, and also like genetically passing along like addiction, and like seeing them in the present like come to terms with that, and then additionally how that affects their children and like them as old people, how they are as old people based on like who their parents were as young people. It's just like so interesting. And I feel like especially for people like us, we talk a lot about like our parents and the lives that they led, and like how we're different and what we want to do differently. And like it's a very real thing in that sort of way. Like everyone is such a good actor. Like the connections are so real and the emotion is so raw, and it's just very authentic. It's very authentic. And so like a lot of people are like, oh, it's so sad. I wouldn't say it's so sad. I would just say it's a very emotional show. Like it's emotional in like a happy, like euphoric way, and it's emotional in like a your father died in a tragic way and you're about to learn how that happened sort of way, and so, everything in between.
So about how you binged it, about how many episodes is that? About
it's 2.5 seasons deep.
Okay.
And a season's like 20 episodes.
It?
Yeah.
I thought it was like
it's only on
way
season 3.
older.
It's only on season 3.
Oh shit. Okay.
And season 3, I will say, is not as good as season 1 and 2 so far, personally.
Might pick up.
But we'll
how many of those episodes, so that's like what? 50 episodes, about 2.5 seasons. How many of those 50 episodes did you cry in?
50.
Every single one? Okay, see, 50. I don't know about that. That's too much crying for me.
Crying is cathartic for me. And
me too, but not 50 times.
I tend to be an emotional person. You cried in Crazy Rich Asians. I cry in every rom-com. I sob in Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a crier. Like, I'm not saying that you as a person will cry in all 50-plus episodes.
I'm really a crier, too.
I'm a crier.
It's just
like
a physical thing that happens.
I like to cry.
I mean, I like it sometimes. I don't like it on a plane.
I don't like it on a plane. I don't
Looks
recommend.
like I'm crying about Chinese dominance of the economy over here.
Yeah.
Not that they're Chinese, but...
It's not a plane show.
No.
No, it's a watch this by yourself show.
It's like that moment when I watched Inside Out on the plane back from Hawaii and fucking sobbed and made a fool of myself.
The only episode I didn't watch alone was the episode that I knew Jack was gonna die in, like where they revealed his death. And I made Aaron watch it with me because I knew I needed moral support. It's the only episode I watched with someone else, and I legit cried the whole time. But spoiler alert, I cried briefly because of Jack's death because I had prepared myself because I Googled what episode he died in, so I knew. I cried more about a really sweet thing that happened in a flash forward. So we're flashing back and Jack is dying in like episode... It's called Super Bowl Sunday in season 2, whatever episode that is. Prepare yourself. But they did a lot of flash forward, like 40 years in the future. And the things that happened 40 years in the future touched my fucking heart so much that's what I was crying about. Like, of course it's sad that Jack died, but like his death and who he is as a person affected his grandchildren's lives, and they grew up to be these like great people, and they went to do things, no spoilers, that like had me like in so many tears, but in a happy way. It was just like so heartwarming. So anyways, this is us, y'all. I also read a book recently that is not a book I would normally read. I'm trying to branch out. 2019 is the year of like, your girl's branching out. I read The Nightingale by the author, I think her name is Kristen Hahn. And she read another book that was really popular last year called The Great Alone, about Alaska, I believe. She pops up on a lot of like book club lists, like books that book clubs should read. So I've been trying to like kind of knock some of those sort of popular bestsellers off. The Nightingale is a feminist story of women during Nazi-occupied France during World War II, which was a really, really hard time for women, but was also a really pivotal moment for women to step up to Nazis, which happened in real life, and it's like inspired by real life experiences of women during the war, and the atrocities that they suffered at the hands of the Nazis, even when they weren't Jewish, right? Because the Nazis moved into France, and of course they eventually exported the Jews and did all the horrible things. But even to the French women, they would occupy their homes and their bodies and their lives, and like made their lives a living miserable hell.
They were conquered people. Yeah.
And there were women in France who were like, we will not stand for this, and became rebels in a time where women were like powerless nobodies, and they were able to become these secret like rebel spies and do all this really great stuff because women are unsuspecting. So young, beautiful women they contributed to like saving the war.
Ooh,
and it's like a really beautiful story.
The Nightingale?
Yes, and it's not a thing I would have ever thought to pick up, but I did it. And it's a real page turner and a real tearjerker, and also like at the end I just felt like really proud to be a woman, and was just like, look how far we've come, and like all these great women have like inspired us to be like the best version of ourselves and like stand up for ourselves. And I feel like I can be the outspoken bitch I am today because of women like this. Yeah.
So, true or not true, you just did admit you're the bitch of Beauty and the Bitch.
False.
What? You just said it! You just said it! Well, those both sound good. Those both sound like very different from what we normally bring to the table, but I'm sure perfect for someone.
Yeah. It was good. I'm glad I did it.
Oh, good for you, Morgan. Look at us growing.
You're traveling. I'm crying.
I love it. I love it.
We're doing things.
There was no crying on my travel, though I didn't pee once on the 11.5-hour trip.
No.
From Rome to
You
Atlanta.
need to drink water. That is not acceptable.
But normally I have to pee all the time. How is this possible?
Because you didn't drink water.
No, I did. I drank lots of water.
I don't know. You broke it.
And coffee.
You broke it. No.
Maybe I secretly was peeing. Maybe I secretly was peeing the entire time. Do you think it's possible that I was just like peeing into the seat and then being like, oh, these fucking transatlantic flights, the seats are wet, it's horrible.
It sounds completely accurate, honestly.
It sounds like a possibility anyway.
That's weird. We'll talk about that later. And I love you. And this was a great extended episode to catch up. And I missed you.
How long is it? An hour and a half?
Yes, girl.
Look at us. That's okay.
Yeah.
We've been giving those short episodes, so it's good.
We had a lot to catch up on. Plus, Fyre Festival was
oh my god, y'all, watch those documentaries.
Please
You're going to be so
do.
disgusted. It actually is great. It's fun. You just hate everybody, and it's nice to hate watch stuff sometimes, honestly.
It so is.
It's very satisfying.
It's like 30% of who I am as a person.
Yes, I would say at least. All right. Bye, baby.
Bye-bye. We love you.
Like 85% probably.
No, fuck you.
What? I'm just being honest.
Do you have a home? Beauty and the Bitch.
You
look
bitch.
Bitch. Beauty and the Bitch.
Beauty and the Bitch.
Bitch.